Welcome back to Where Tigers Walk. We're reviewing the Bristol City game and looking ahead to the trip to Plymouth on Where Tigers Walk. Welcome back to Jack, and do follow Jack at substack.com, who also writes some very good pieces on Hull City. Jack, you were there.
Yeah.
Bristol City fans felt you were lucky to get a point. They should have left with all three. What was your view on it?
I thought it was a point quite fair, to be honest. They had their chances, we had our chances, which was more in the first half, and then they came back into the game towards the last end of the first, and then they dominated in the first 30 of the second half. But it was a quintessential Hull City performance. It was where we play good for periods, and then suddenly just drop off, and the other team dominates, and that was usually the pattern last season at home.
Yeah, you promised us goals. You promised us fluid football and plenty of attacking flair, and I didn't see too much of that, did we?
Well, no. The thing is, if he didn't promise us any heart attack football, I would have been more impressed with that performance. But we had a high expectation. I thought it was quite similar to Rossini's style of football, albeit we was a bit more faster on the attack, but we were still very open and was reverting backwards quite a lot. It was quite tedious to watch at times.
Are you happy then? It's early days, isn't it? But from what you've seen, we've even talked about relegation, didn't we, last week? There's enough in this whole side with a few more signings to give you no concerns this season.
Definitely, there's positives to take from that game. Like we had a lot of chances where we could have scored, but we're just not clinical enough. I don't think the attack is the problem. I just think it's just around it. There's more the problem. We need a few more players. Liam Miller came on and he was absolutely brilliant getting the ball into the box. He was lightning on the ball. We just need a couple more players like that. Obviously, we had Philogene and we had Carvalho last season. We need to replace them. Otherwise, we're not going to be that good again.
Okay. Obviously, it was Bristol City's new guy that scored their goal. What was your view on the penalty? Definite pen?
Well, where I was sat, it looked like it was kind of a dive, but then looking back on the replay, it was an absolute collision that it wasn't his fault. So I think it was a penalty after watching it. I'm guessing the Bristol fans didn't agree.
They actually did think it was a penalty,
enough.
And obviously very, very, very cross with Williams, who gave the foul away in the first place. Okay. What about then your new boys? You haven't signed too many of them, but what was your views on how they performed?
We only got to see Melham or Malem. I don't know how to say his name, to be honest. Liam Miller we saw, and they were potential. They were great. And then Finn Burns, did he come on? I think he came on in the last minute. We didn't get to see much of him, but what we got to see of Miller was great. He showed what he has in him. He obviously at Preston last season he scored 5, and he's a real threat when he gets on the ball. But other than that, Melham squandered a couple of chances. He just needs to get his confidence in England. So yeah, we're on the right track.
Okay, all right. Let's talk Plymouth then, shall we? Because that's you finished last season at Plymouth, and now your first away trip is back where you finished. Let's talk to our Plymouth fan. Welcome, Jaden, from our Plymouth Terrace Talk channel. That was a bit of a tough watch for you today, wasn't it? How are you?
Yeah, I'm good, thank you, Mark. Yeah, very, very, very tough watch. No real desire or fight. I didn't actually think the first half was too bad. In the first half, I think we looked like a championship side sort of thing. But second half, League One side. So yeah.
Hull visited the last day of last season, so you've got a special memory, haven't you, of this fixture last year? Were you on the pitch? Remind me, I can't remember.
Yeah, yeah, definitely.
So that game lives long in the memory. This one is obviously a little bit different. You've got both got new managers. Talk to the whole fans about kind of what shape you've been in before this trip to Hillsborough. What sort of style of football is Rooney going to be implementing?
Well, it's tough to tell because as soon as we play a championship quality side, we get stuffed. So it's hard to talk about. But against sides like Torquay, we've obviously played well, but it's not really the highest standard. So you don't really know how to judge it after pre-season when you don't play the sort of quality side you're playing in the league. So yeah, it's tough to tell. Hopefully, we can put a stamp down against Hull.
Okay, Jack. I mean, did you have Plymouth in your predictions to be relegated this season? Being honest,
No, they're kind of just a team that are just going to loiter around between the relegation and halfway through. Mid-table. But I've just watched your highlights before I came on here, and they tore you apart. I've got to be honest. But again, we was like that at one point, and suddenly turned it around. So it can happen.
Yeah, it's first game of the season. Let's get some predictions from you then. I know it's very difficult to predict because we've also got Carabao Cup in the middle of all of it as well. And not that either I'm sure you care too much about the cup. More on that in a minute. Jaden, what are you going with?
1-1.
That's optimistic. Jack,
Yeah.
giving up so early.
Yeah.
Jack?
I think I have to agree with you. I think it will be a stalemate, but I think 2-2.
Okay, brilliant. Right, Jaden, good luck. Thanks so much for joining us. We'll catch
Thank
you
you.
as the season progresses. And for you, Jack, let's rate some takes. So, William says, I'll take the point. Positives were Panda was solid along with Jones and Simons. Also, Jarvis, Miller, and Sellers Fleming were brilliant off the bench. Negatives were we need Hughes as Macca isn't up to it. And Jacob was again. Yeah, you got the rest of that.
Yep.
What do you agree with that?
Yeah, I do, because the up front was okay. I think the back was just way too open. We have inexperienced players like Maka and Jacob. They need a bit more. Well, to be honest, Maka was okay last season, but Jacob definitely needs a bit more time, like in friendlies or cup games, to get used to the pressure of the league and stuff like that. I think we should have put Burns on way earlier. I think put him 91st minute was quite poor, because obviously Maka actually, I think it was either Maka or Jacob who gave the ball away to their player to score. So I think the back does need a bit more of a strengthening.
Okay. And then, of course, we need to talk about goalkeepers. So that's what we're doing. So let's have a look at your acquisitions. So you've got two solid goalkeepers now. I mean, the argument is you would have needed one or the other. Pandur did well, but then you've also signed in the last week. Help me out with the pronunciation. Anthony Rashipi.
Rashipi, I guess.
Yeah, Rashipi. Okay. What's the thinking behind then this signing of two stellar goalkeepers?
I guess, well, Pandor never really got to play last season, so obviously the manager saw what he was like in the pre-season friendlies, which, to be honest, wasn't as good. So they panicked, I think, and it was literally 2 days before we was facing Bristol like they signed this guy. So obviously they are worried. But to be honest, Panda actually played pretty decent, like you said, in the game, albeit his playing from his feet to the defenders is a bit off. But again, that's the manager's way of him playing. I thought he did some good shot stops, but other than that, it was good.
So do you expect him to be the number 2? Do you this season, Pandur?
Yeah, I guess he'll, if Rashiapi, if he plays well, I reckon he'll be number 2.
Okay. Finally, then, Carabao Cup is back as we mentioned. earlier. Sheffield Wednesday are the visitors midweek. Could you care less about the cup?
It's one of those. You'd like another bit of silverware, but I think, as everyone's already said, I think league is more important to me.
So if I offered you the Carabao Cup now, you can have the trophy, you can be in Europe, you can have a day out at Wembley, or promotion. What would you choose?
I think I'd take promotion. Anything to get to the Premier League would be brilliant. I know I would get a trophy and get in the Europa League, but I think the Premier League's the biggest hope for us.
Okay, all right, we'll take that then. Well, yes, enjoy the trip to Plymouth. Setting off very early in the morning.
I actually don't think I'm going to go to this one, but I'll hopefully get to watch it from home.
All right, fair enough. Okay, if you're a Hull fan, you know what to do. Please subscribe. Do follow Jack at Substack as well. Is it 10 Tigers? What's
10
your name?
foot 10-foot Tigers.
10-foot Tigers. Give him a follow and do have a read of all his match reviews. Very, very entertaining. And actually spot on the money as well. We'll see you next week, Jack, for our next preview. Good luck against Plymouth, and we'll catch you next week. Cheers.
Thank you.